Hello, all you beautiful people. It's Ruth from Optimistically Depressed here, and I want to tell you about how I managed to get my podcast into your earphones. It was actually through a tool called Anchor. If you haven't heard about it before, there are a couple things I want you to know. First of all, it's free, and it has creation tools on it that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. And then you can actually make money from your podcast through Anchor, and there's no minimum listenership required. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So go download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, that's anchor.fm or download the free Anchor app. Your voice needs to be heard. Anchor can make that happen. Hello, all you beautiful people. This is Optimistically Depressed, and I am your host, Ruth McMullen. Thank you for joining me. Hey, so we're like almost all the way through February. How much quicker was February than January? I mean, it's like night and day. January, I'm pretty sure lasted 8 years. So this is like insanely fast. And I know that I'm not alone in feeling that way. A lot of people have been feeling that way. The reason why it was particularly long for me was because I was very sick. But I'm pretty much better now, and that feels fantastic. So I actually made a post yesterday evening on my Optimistically Depressed Instagram account where I talked about how depression really can sneak up on me. And I got some incredible feedback. I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to about this have said the same thing, that you just don't really notice that you're not doing that great until somebody else is like, wait, but how are you? And like, are you really taking care of yourself? And that's what has happened to me. Thankfully, I have a few people in my life that can like really ask me that question. And I feel like I can really answer that question, and sometimes when I'm not really doing that great, I just like don't really know how to answer the question. So it's interesting because I never really stopped to pay attention to what the signs are, and I don't notice them until I'm looking back. But if you didn't see the post, like I just kind of talk about how it usually starts with just being pretty numb. Like I suddenly just don't really feel anything, and then I stop doing the extra things that I usually enjoy doing. I mean, I kind of enjoy exercise. I exercise inside. I get to watch TV while I do it, so it's a bit of a treat. And when I stop doing that, then usually everything else quickly follows, and it doesn't take much longer until I'm just like pretty depressed. So I'm going to try to pay more attention in the future to see if maybe I can kind of catch those warning signs before it gets too far. But I just want to say I'm really thankful for the community that I have around me of people who can sincerely ask like how I'm doing, like am I taking care of myself? And then I'm also just like really grateful for how I can put these posts out to all of you, and the feedback that I get from all of you is really encouraging. It's just really nice to know that I'm not alone. So I got to do another episode with Verity. She is so inspiring. And she actually, so a few weeks ago, she messaged me and she let me know that she's going to be climbing Everest to the base camp. And that blew my mind. And I really wanted to talk more about that because I've only watched like a couple documentaries, and like my husband Sean is really into mountaineering, and so he's shared some stuff about Everest with me. But it just like the mindset that you have to be able to keep going when you're cold or when you're tired and you're like trudging through snow. And I can't even imagine how taxing that would be. And it fascinates me how this is something that people train for, aspire to do, and then they go ahead and they do it. And from the limited interviews that I've had with people who've done it, I have not had personal interviews with people who've done it. The interviews that I've listened to of people who've done it, there's just a lot of talk about how it really involves the being in the right headspace. Like, you have to have a certain mentality, and Verity has that mentality. I know that because we've had several conversations before. I've actually gone in and gotten hypnotherapy from her, which is something that I highly recommend. And and in fact, you should check out Verity Vale. She does hypnotherapy, and you'll be able to find her in my post on like Instagram and likely Facebook and everywhere else. But you need to check that out. She's incredible. And from the conversations that we've kind of had in the past, just because we'll get together and have coffee and talk more, she just has a certain drive to her that is very inspiring for me to be around, because it helps me kind of get out of the stuck feeling that I can get into. And she's so encouraging and really smart, like brilliant, and very thoughtful. So I'm really happy that I got to do another podcast with her, and that I get to share it with all of you. So I think that's everything I'm going to say for now, but definitely check her out for hypnotherapy, because she's very good at it, and I found it to be really beneficial. And yeah, just enjoy this episode. Washington.
Cool.
Yeah, but you can see it from Vancouver. It's this
cool.
like huge mountain that when you're in Vancouver City, you see this like giant mountain. And we were there a few years ago, and he was constantly pointing out this mountain, and he was just like, one day I'm climbing that mountain.
That's cool.
So he's now made plans to climb it with one of our friends, and so he's been training, and he's been on the stairs.
That's cool. So when's he doing that then?
He's doing it in May.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Same time
so
as me.
both of you are going to be going.
We'll both be up mountains.
Yeah. But what are you climbing?
I am going to Mount Everest Base Camp.
Which is
Cool.
insane.
Or 5,364 meters of it. It's cool.
Oh
And then
my
there's
gosh.
another peak called, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. How embarrassing. It begins with K. Anyway, that one's slightly higher, so we're going to do that the next day as well. So we'll be going, I think, 5,600-ish meters. So it's quite exciting. So definitely need to get some training in.
Yeah. And so that must be like every time you're going to the gym, like that would be your motivation. Like, okay, well, I gotta.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's such good motivation. Like I say, I don't think I've ever been to the gym 4 times in a week before. And it's so nice to be able to go and have a goal, as opposed to, oh, I just want to do some cardio, or I just want to, look good or be thin or whatever it is, all those different motivations that, historically I may have had. And now it's like, yep, no, I'm doing it. I'm doing it with a purpose. And so I've got specific exercises to do, and, kind of building up my core and my back strength and like my legs and stuff. So it's really good, and it's really focused my mind as well to be able to go to the gym, which is really nice.
That is, yeah, that's really cool. It blows my mind. And so what is it? Okay, so there's physical training. There must be mental training as well, because that's the other thing, right? I'm not a mountaineer, but my understanding from talking with Sean about it, talking with other people that do it, it's like, yeah, you have to physically train, but it's also like it is in your mentality towards it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the stuff that I'm probably sort of more doing would be like researching the people that have done it before, like people that have written blogs, magazine. I mean, there's tons of stuff. There's loads of people that have written about it. Reading books about people that have actually kind of gone to the actual summit and stuff. They're quite cool. So kind of researching about the area, the local people, the culture, the customs and things like that as well, to kind of prepare for that. In terms of like the physical toll that it's going to have on your body, like that altitude sickness is the biggest thing that you can't really train for. So to kind of prepare yourself mentally that maybe you might get sick, even if you're fit and healthy and you're the fittest person on the planet, you still could get altitude sickness. And so then that could preclude you from going up to certain heights. So kind of being aware and prepared that that could be a possibility so it's kind of managing expectations almost, really, I think. And also just being super excited and optimistic and cheerful and happy and utterly delighted that I've got this amazing opportunity that I'm able to go to Everest, go and see the world's highest point. It's just amazing. So I think the excitement is kind of, that will just get me through anything. That's like probably the most helpful bit mentally to have, is just to have that sheer delight that I have this incredible opportunity. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'm just so excited about it.
Okay. That is so cool. Also, it's one of the things that I've been thinking about, you kind of touched on it, is how people, like these people that like kind of accomplish these things that many of us would kind of be like, I could never do that. I think that it's kind of like this ability to focus on the future, like on that goal that is in the future. And you're kind of like, no, I'm going through all of this pain or whatever, discomfort right now, because I'm aware of what I'm wanting to accomplish at the end.
Yeah, like sort of keeping your eye on the prize sort of thing.
It's the whole keeping, and it's like, of course we all know that saying. I think that it was like, for me anyway, it was like, I needed to actually learn what that saying really meant. Mm-hmm. Because, it's like, these sayings that we are just in our culture, them, but then it's like, you actually miss the point of it. Like right? And so I think that I'm at this point in my life anyway, that I'm like starting to understand where all these things came from. Right. Yeah. So I like that you explained it in a way that was like, I just have like a deeper understanding of what you're actually saying.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. And it's just, you don't always necessarily need to know the path of how you're going to get somewhere. So if you kind of, and that's the beauty of kind of visualizations and stuff like that as well. You say, well, this is what I'm going to get to. And it's just having that belief system that you're going to be able to get to it. And that's, I think we've spoken about it before, is that reticular activating center in the brain, that bundle of nerves at the back that filters out all the unnecessary stuff. As long as we send a nice clear message into our brains, our subconscious, to say, well, this is what we want to do, the brain will figure it out. And it doesn't matter. If you set your GPS to go to Cape Breton, you don't know from here to there. I mean, you might be really good at directions to Cape Breton, but, let's say you wanted to go to Maine. We'll go to Maine today. Okay. You wouldn't know how to get there, but you're just going to plug it into the GPS and you're going to trust that it's going to get you to that end location. You can't see Maine yet, but you know that you're going to get there somehow. And it's the same with kind of like life goals or plans or things that you want to do. Have that dream, have that hope, have that something that you want to work towards. Even if you can't see the steps at the moment, you'll find them. They'll come. I first wanted to climb Everest or go to Everest Base Camp when I was in my early 20s. I'm going to be 40 this year. So that's quite a long time to have had a goal and to kind of, and it's not something that I thought about all of the time, but actually it's quite interesting because I said that when I said, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to climb to Everest Base Camp. And I said it and it didn't happen. Just, life happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of come up in my path. And it's really interesting because I listened to an interview I did the other day and I used the example of Everest Base Camp. If you say to someone, I want to go to Everest Base Camp, and all these little bits will start coming into their lives. Like there'll be a trekking magazine on Nepal. There'll be some hiking boots that are on offer, and all these little bits. Once you've said that message and you said, this is what I'm going to do, all these, you start to really notice the things around you. It's not that they necessarily weren't there before, but you've got that focus. So you've sent it through that bundle of nerves at the back of your head, and then you're able to kind of pick out the things that are going to help you on that way. So those little steps, even if you don't know them, they will become apparent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have a goal.
Oh, I love that.
Even if it seems crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I think actually last year my goal was to go to space.
Really?
I mean, I don't know how that's going to happen, but one day, wouldn't that be cool?
Okay. You and Sean are very similar because that's also one of his goals.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's just like,
cool.
Yeah, he's just like, I want to go to space. And Everest is definitely, he kind of talks like, no, I won't do it because like he won't summit it because he's looked at the statistics of people that like don't make it. And
yeah.
And I'm like, hi, I still want you around. Don't do this.
Yes.
But he's always been fascinated with it, and he's like really getting into that kind of thing. Anyway,
well, I'll bring my photo collection round when I get back.
What's that?
I'll bring my photograph collection round when I get back.
Oh my goodness. He will. Yeah, he'll lose his mind. What is it about it? Like, what is it about climbing or mountaineering that has you so like intrigued?
I don't know really. One of my favorite things is when you get up a mountain and you are higher than like the cloud level. And so it looks like you have an ocean. So the clouds are like the ocean. And then you get these little mountain tops that just peek out at the top of it. And they're like little islands. Mm-hmm. And it just looks like this amazing, enchanted, beautiful place. I just absolutely adore being up in the mountains and just having that incredible view. And especially when you've like walked up it yourself as well. And it's your own legs that's got you above those clouds. And I just think it's kind of nice that, you know, physically, if we can lift ourselves up above those clouds, then mentally we can be able to do it as well. And I just really like the feeling that I have when I'm out hiking anywhere really, but just kind of when you're up a mountain, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Yeah. I just love it.
So what other mountains have you climbed?
So last year we did, and my pronunciation will probably be horrible with this. Okay. It's Mount Katahdin or Katahdin.
Katahdin. I've done Katahdin.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Which way did you go up?
We went up through the Notch and the knife edge.
It's terrifying.
It's absolutely terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Yes.
Yes. We, when we went up that ridge part of it, like the knife edge, my husband and I have like really bad luck with weather. So we climb mountains and the weather will be terrible.
Yes.
And so we don't get a view. So we had that when we were at Katahdin. The weather was dreadful. And as we got up to the knife edge bit, it started to clear a little bit and you started to see the drop. Ooh. It was like, oh my goodness. And we were like, I don't think I'm going to go back down that way. So we walked further and went down a different way, which was still pretty challenging. But
that's what we did too.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Because so I think we probably did the same thing.
Yeah. And it was really windy the day that we did it.
Oh gosh, really?
So, you know, like there are parts on the knife edge where you're having to kind of like, you have to basically hug the side.
Yep.
And like put your feet out and around like certain rocks and everything, right? Yep. And then like and it was windy, so it was like kind of pulling us around.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that was my first time climbing a mountain.
Oh wow, oh, bless you.
Thank you.
That is really quite a challenging one for your first one.
It was. I mean, I guess I climbed a couple. I climbed a couple like much smaller mountains out in BC.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous. And I really enjoyed it. So. Yes, but that was like my first like serious mountain that I climbed, and
that's cool.
It was, and Sean had climbed it before, so he was behind me, and you know that one part where like near the end, like the second half of the knife edge, where it's like all these boulders, but then like they're only like a few feet wide, if I remember correctly, and then it's just like drop, like.
But you're going up as well, aren't you? You're kind of like going up and along, and it's just steep and narrow.
Yes,
yeah,
and you're like, if I fall, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm doing a crab walk. I did a butt scuffle crab walk all along that. And Sean was standing behind me. It's windy. I look back and I'm just like, you're insane. And he's just laughing at me because like maybe I was being overly cautious, but I was just like, I'm not dying today.
Yes. Yeah. Like I have other things I want to do.
Yes. And then you know that when you like you get up to that other like little peak that's like then you go across that other like wider spine that goes up to the top, to the summit. So we made it up to that, and then we're like kind of hopping from rock to rock. And Sean's like a little ways behind me, and I actually fell.
Oh no!
Yeah, I like I don't know exactly what happened, but my foot kind of slipped. It got caught between two boulders, and then I fell and I twisted my knee.
Oh, that's not the place to do it, is
right?
it?
Oh my goodness! And then it hurt. And Sean said that when he saw me do that, that was like he got really scared because he thought that I was like really hurt. Aww. And for a second, I thought maybe like when something like that happens, you're like thinking, but I'm up on a mountain, like I have to walk down. Like there's no way. Like, there's no other way that this is going to happen. Yeah. So that was scary and a little discouraging. But of course, I ended up being fine. My knee hurt a little bit. Yeah. I think the adrenaline kind of like got me through the rest of the hike.
Right.
And my knee hurt was a little sore after, but it wasn't, it wasn't as bad as I was thinking it was in the moment, right? Yeah. It was terrifying. Anyway, so I keep taking your story and turning it into my story.
That's okay.
But yes. Katahdin.
Yes, so Katahdin. We did Cadillac Mountain Down also in Maine. Bangor, is it?
Oh yeah, Bangor.
Yeah, Bangor. Again, it's supposed to have this beautiful view over Maine and like the sea and the islands and everything. Cloudy. What else? We've done quite a bit in France, so in the Alps there. Done
Oh my
a bit
gosh.
of kind of hiking up mountains there. That's really lovely. England or Scotland and Wales, actually the UK. The highest peak in Scotland is Ben Nevis, so we've done hiking up around there. That's all really beautiful as well. And then in Wales you've got Snowdon, and that again really beautiful, just lovely mountains. And actually, funnily enough, again saying about the bad weather, when we went to New Zealand, there's supposed to be one of the most beautiful walks, like the 7th most beautiful walk in the world or something.
Whoa.
And it's over like active volcanoes.
Oh my gosh.
And so we went to do it. It's like a 20k hike, and it's supposed to be like, again, really beautiful. Cloudy, couldn't see anything.
Oh my gosh.
We're so unlucky. Yeah. But that said, sometimes we have done hikes and we do get that beautiful view when you go above the clouds, and then you get all of that really just that enchanted kind of scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Question about the active volcanoes.
Uh-huh.
Were you like walking like over a volcano peak?
Yeah. So there's like 3 peaks. I can't remember if they're all 3 are volcanoes, if it's just one of them. It's not like, how when you see a volcano, you imagine like the lava kind of like bubbling up.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's just like really rugged. And you can see where previous eruptions have kind of like happened and stuff. There's no vegetation or anything up there. And it's basically, as you go on your hike, the guides will say to you, or the people that drop you off, they're like, it could erupt. It could, like, and the lava could flow. And then I can't remember what the other word is, but like when all the like the water and the dust and everything also comes together, that can rush down. That can be really like awful. And one of the people that was there said that they had been on it when it had erupted. So it's like a live volcano. I don't think it erupts all the time, but it is a possibility. And they don't think they know when it's going to go either. I can't remember the name of it, but it's in New Zealand. It's very lovely. Well, I imagine. I don't know. It was misty.
It was misty when you were there. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is like, can you survive if it erupts and you're there?
Well, if you get out of the way of the lava, I guess.
How quick is it? Like, I've seen.
It's quite fast, isn't it? I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I haven't seen any footage of. I don't. Oh no! It kind of splashes out, right? Like it. That is terrifying.
Yeah. I didn't really think about it that much.
Okay.
That probably helps.
That probably would help.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like, well, it's not a problem right now, and I'm only going to really think about it if it becomes an
happens.
issue.
Yeah, because otherwise you just worry about it happening, and then you'd stop, you wouldn't do it, and then you'd miss out on stuff. And so, that's that whole big worry circle, isn't it? Like, these are the things we worry about happening. And actually, if you just took a tiny wee slice of that circle, these are the things that could happen, and it's tiny weeny. And then the actual things that will happen is like a dot inside that little slice. There's this big, massive worry that we have that just creates all this negativity, and then that just makes us feel bad and stressed and worried, and upsets the balance of the body. So don't worry about things. Try not to worry about the things that probably won't happen anyway. And when we were there, I did sort of think, well, if the lava comes down this way, then what would we do? Like, would we run up that way, or would just have like a little half an eye on sort of, well, this could be the contingency plan if required. But don't worry about it so much that it's going to preclude you from doing stuff. Like, we wouldn't leave our houses if we sort of worried. Too much.
I understand that better and better every day. How it's like you do have to eventually get to a point where you're actively choosing not to worry.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of true crime podcasts.
Oh, have you?
Yes, and I love it. It's I think it's kind of like a resurgence of popularity as far as true crime goes. But it is one of those things where it's now making me think, okay, these different things could happen, because I'm like, I'm thinking, well, don't go into the woods after the dark, because that's when people could like that. It's easy for people to get to there and whatever. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like, okay, let's like take a step back and think about the possibility of that actually happening. Where's the line between properly, like, just being aware and smart about it, and then when are you crossing over into worrying about it? Because it's like,
right.
And that's like,
and there are some things that you probably shouldn't do, like go into the woods after dark on your own.
Yeah, like it's probably a good idea to just stay out of that. Like, why would you do that?
Just go in the daytime.
Yeah, just go in the daytime. You're fine. I find that it's kind of helped me be a bit more just like kind of sensible, perhaps, in a way, like, and not, I think, like things like, okay, so when I went to New York just this past November, I was I was waiting to get my Uber back to a restaurant I was going to eat and then go back to the place I was staying. And this guy pulls up and he's like in this like fancy car or whatever. And then he's like, hey, where are you going? I can give you a ride. And I was just like, no. And then he like hands me a business card and he's just like, no, I'm like this professional, like limo, whatever driver. And I kind of wonder if the naive me, like several years ago would have been like, oh, it's fine. He has like this business card. Anyone can get a business card.
True.
So anyway, I feel like it was like I was kind of aware enough to just be like, no, I'm not getting in the car with you, stranger.
Yeah.
Like
that's probably wise.
Right? It's just like you, of course I'm not getting in the car with you. Are you kidding me? And so that's good because I think part of it is like, I grew up in a small town, right? Everyone kind of knows everyone. So there's just like this like automatic trust that you have. And I think I carried that with me when I moved, even when I moved away.
Right.
And now it's like, it's good for me to just kind of be like, yeah, don't just trust people.
I think there's a balance, I think, probably to be had, isn't there? There's like a little bit of kind of naivety is nice because it kind of, you have that unjaded view of the world. But I think that a level of sort of skepticism is probably useful because it keeps you alive.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of it has to go back with trusting your own instincts.
Oh, yeah.
Which I know that for me growing up, there was like a lot of emphasis on just being polite, especially as a woman.
Right.
And that's something that I'm starting to be like, yeah, that's not important. That's not as important as just trusting your instincts. If something tells you something's off, trust that.
Yeah. Spidey sense is useful.
Yeah. And there was one thing that actually my one of my professors told me back in university, like quite a while ago. She told me, Ruth, your instincts are better than you think.
Yes.
And she's like, you need to trust yourself more. And that was like, and I don't know if she knows how helpful that was for her to have said that to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it was something that I really needed to hear because I didn't trust myself.
Right.
So that was really important. And now and that actually kind of just like started this adventure of trying to listen to my voice.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm now trying to put in my kids. Like, it's just kind of like, you know what? Trust your senses. If something tells you something's off, you listen to that.
For sure. Yeah.
So anyway, it's to do with that whole, what's the, I'm going to swear. Are we all okay with this right now?
I'm fine.
Cool. Fuck politeness.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of just going along with that. Like, just like when it comes down to being nice or being safe.
Right.
Anyway.
Be safe.
Always be safe. Always be safe. I feel like that kind of took a major turn. The volcano thing fascinates me. It's one of those things that I am scared of.
Right.
But it's like, oh, but I want to learn everything about it. And the fact that you actually walked across one.
Yeah.
Was there like a big opening?
I couldn't see. It was so misty.
Oh, right.
There's like these beautiful like aquamarine lakes. There's like this big.
My gosh.
We got to the top of one bit and then there's like a massive crater in it. And it kind of, I imagine that's what Mars would be like. It was kind of reddish. And then you kind of walk through the crater and then again sort of do some climbing and stuff. So yeah, I wasn't really, I'll have to find out the name of the volcano and send you a picture of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool. All right. And so you're training now. And so your next mountain
is Everest.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I want to have you back on after you do it.
Oh,
and
yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be cool.
All right.
Just do that.
And so is there any other kind of training that you need to do? Like you're doing your research, you're doing physical training.
Yeah.
Keeping your mind in check.
Yeah. Just kind of
focusing on the excitement.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And you can start to think about, oh, what if this? What if that? Like, oh, what about the plane? And you can kind of go down and worry, sort of shoot on things. But, that again, that's that whole worry. And then you're just creating all that anxiety. And it's like, no, stop, don't do that. Think about the lovely bits, but think about the positives. Because when you think about the positives, you can't think about the negatives at the same time. And so actually then that would just kind of make you feel better. So don't think about the worry. Think about the good bits.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. So physical training. I'm trying to teach myself a little bit of Nepalese as well. Trying to teach myself a little bit of Nepalese. I don't really know much. Like namaste, that's like hello.
Oh,
I know most people,
it's the language. I didn't.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. At first, I was like, I don't know what is that. Is that an exercise? What? Okay. No. Yeah.
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 So trying to teach myself a little bit of that. And just reading stuff about it. I think there's a really good there's a good book. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's about Edmund Hillary's adventure when he kind of tried to summit.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a really good book. So I might get that back out and read that one because that's quite cool.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is having me wanting to, get back into watching some more documentaries about it. Because Sean and I will watch that stuff together too.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few on either Netflix or Amazon Prime. I think there's some mountain kind of programs on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We have both too. So
Cool.
Okay. Now, yes, please tell me about how the trip has come about.
It's really quite exciting actually. It's and it's kind of one of those little ripple effect things.
Okay.
And like when you take one little action, then something else will happen, something else happens, something else will happen.
Yeah.
And so as I said before, when I was in my 20s, I kind of made that comment, I want to go and climb Everest. And it has always, it would be something that would be nice to do. But it was never like a massive focus. Like I say, life kind of happens. And then anyway, so I was on a course, a social media course at the Chamber of Commerce that they put on. And we were on a day, it was a LinkedIn day. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was on LinkedIn, blah, blah. And then this petition popped up. A lad back in the UK, he was a police officer, and he is petitioning at the moment to get the government to kind of make mental health training mandatory in the police force. So every year you take a physical thing for your like officer safety training, so your baton and your handcuffs and stuff like that. But actually nobody ever kind of gives you the mental resilience. And so there are a lot of people that suffer, frontline people in any of the emergency kind of services, they see a lot of stuff. Yeah. And so there's quite a few people that will suffer with, anxieties, depressions, post-traumatic stress disorder. And so this chap is getting that petition, trying to get it through the government to get them to make mental health training and resilience mandatory before people get sick, which is a great idea, because if you're looking after people's minds before they get sick, then they don't get sick, and then they don't then need the time off work. So it seems like a really sensible, wise thing to do. So I was like, that's really cool. So I kind of messaged him to say, look, this is great. Well done. I'm a police officer. I'm into wellness and stuff. If there happened to be anything that I could do, let me know. And so we'd had a bit of dialogue. And then he mentioned this group on Facebook called Adventure 999. And what it is, it's a group for kind of emergency services and frontline people to kind of support their mental and emotional well-being. And it's actually a chap who used to be in the same police force that I was in as well, actually, who set it up, him and his wife. She's a paramedic. And it's all about trying to get people out in the mountains, go hiking, get out in nature, like use all these things to really kind of help your mental health. And so this chap with a petition told me about the group. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I went and had a look at Adventure 999, filled in the questions. Yes, I'm a police officer. I can, join your group type thing. And then literally this trip to Everest popped up and I was like, oh no. So I messaged saying, have you got any space? And is there enough time for me to train between now and May? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, OMG. So I was like,
what?
Okay, this, and the timing fits perfectly. And it's just all like the planets aligned, and it was just perfect timing. So I kind of went and had a chat to my husband about it, and he was like, well, yeah, like that's really cool. Just make sure you do your research and all of that stuff. And and so he was supportive of it, and he was like, yep, go for it. And so I was like, oh my goodness. And so, so then I sort of said, well, yeah, okay, I'm going to actually do it. And so now there's a group of, I think, 9 or 10 of us that are going, all emergency service people, in aid for this kind of the mental health sort of awareness. And there's another company that they have teamed up with, actually, called Frontline Foundation. And they're a community interest company, and they're a charity, and they want to be able to help people in the emergency services to get them, help them with their mental welfare, and their mental health well-being, to send them on adventures. And it could start with like going for a cup of coffee with somebody, or it could be a full-blown adventure where you go and climb Mount Everest or something like that. So it's a really good charity. I'm just going to give them a little bit of a plug, if that's all right. So
yes, please.
www.frontlinefoundation.org. You can donate if anybody wanted to kind of like donate a little bit to charity, then that would obviously be lovely. But it's really nice that these two groups that have kind of like working together to be able to kind of get people out and up those mountains. And eventually it'll be the money that they raise from the charity will help people to do that as well. So it's a really good cause. And I just think what better thing to do than to protect your mental health before you get sick.
Yes.
Like, let's create that mental resilience.
Yes. Amen.
Amen. Yeah.
And part of creating that mental resilience is exercise and getting outside.
Absolutely. Being out in nature, exercise as well, that will release all the endorphins. Being out in nature, that changes your brain's physiology as well. There's so many benefits. I could just talk for hours, but I won't. But you can just Google like benefits of being in nature. You know, it reduces stress, it reduces anxiety. It kind of, obviously, if you're moving as well, it's got the physical benefits of all of that stuff. You know, reduces your like your blood pressure, it calms the nervous system. It's really, really good being out in nature. And actually being out in nature is better than being outside is good anyway, fresh air. But if you can be outside where there is, you know, there's some grass or there's some trees, even if it's just a park, that has been proven to be better for you than just being outside walking around a town. So if you can kind of actually get where there's some greenery, then try to do that every day, really. And I did hear a while ago a statistic that something like we spend either 90 or 95% of our time indoors. And if you think about it, you sleep and then you wake up and then you get into your car and then you drive to work and then you're in your office all day and then you drive home and then you might go to the gym, but that's inside as well. And so then if you think about it, actually, how much time are you spending outside? Not a lot. So it's a really good thing to make that concerted effort to kind of get outside in nature.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, is it that's interesting. The comparison between just like being out and about and like walking along, you know, the city or whatever, and then actually getting to some greenery, like just out into into actual nature.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a study I was reading. Well, I started to read it this morning, actually. So, that's interesting.
I wonder, it must have something to do with the pace, like the noise. It's quieter in nature. It's just kind of more peaceful, right?
I think it is like the serenity about it and, you know, the lack, because I think there's lots of people, isn't there, generally in an urban sort of setting, and there's like cars and there's traffic and there's noises and there's lights and there's just a lot of stimulation kind of going on. Whereas nature is kind of more peaceful. It's quieter. It's more serene. It's like there's not much moving.
Yes.
Yeah, it might be a bit of like waterfall or, you know, a squirrel might run out in front of you or something like that. But it's not fast paced. It's just kind of that calm.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I first moved to the city, because I again grew up in Magneto, I found it really overwhelming.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I really hated it for the first while.
Oh, bless you.
It was just like, because I look out my window and there'd just be another house or people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I hate looking out my window and just looking into somebody else's window. Mm-hmm. And it took me quite a few years to finally be okay with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you like it now?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
Yeah.
And the beauty of here, though, as well, is you're never really very far from nature at all, are you? You're just
not at all.
Just pop into a park or like just drive 5 minutes out of the city and you've got, you know, so much like with lakes and hikes and it's just fabulous.
I love it. Actually, Halifax was, I'm going to mess this up, but it was something to do with, it's like the 7th city, it got recognized as the 7th most nature. It's basically like a city that has lots of trees and whatever. It's like kind of like a tree city. What environmental, not environmental. Oh dear Lord! I hope that you know what I'm saying. I hope that everyone who's listening knows what I'm saying.
It's like nice.
It's kind of like integrated nature into the city.
Okay,
there we go. Oh my gosh, that was a struggle. But yeah, and that was one thing that I really noticed about it too. Even when I moved here, it was just like there's trees in the city. You know, like you're kind of like going, and it's just like it's kind of just everywhere.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, it is a beautiful city. Yeah, Halifax.
Yay.
Okay, but yeah, that's really fascinating, and I think that like it sounds like that's something that has been kind of known for ever.
I think it's new, is it? I think just
it's like forgotten and then reminded. Yeah. It makes me think of my dad actually, because his psychiatrist was always like, you need to make sure you get out in nature every day.
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, and that's the thing that he actually still does. And I kind of think that probably has a lot to do with why he's doing as well as he is for his condition.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because usually, so statistically, and this is, I mean, if you're a new listener, my dad's been diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Statistically, people who have even just schizophrenia are usually in prison or homeless. And my dad is neither of those.
Oh, good.
And I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that he is outside every day.
Right.
Like he's mostly outside.
So figuring out those things that you can do to yourself to be able to kind of take care and help yourself. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, so very interesting.
There we go. Get outside in nature, kids.
Get outside in nature. Yesterday, we actually went for a little walk with the kids, you know, and we went through the woods and then went to a playground and then we kind of walked around a little bit more. And it was so nice. Like, it was just like, oh, yes, right. Yes, this is so nice.
Yeah.
And like we try to take the kids out on adventures, but I think that one of the things is like kind of working into your schedule to daily just kind of get outside and do like a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We yesterday we went to the Salt Marsh Trail.
Where's that?
Dartmouth.
Really?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's long, it's flat, it's straight. So it's not ideal training really, but but it's just like this long path between sort of on the edge of the seaside. And there's water on both sides, and there's it's just long. Sort of goes towards Lawrencetown.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it an old train track or is it an old like ATV or something like that?
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, it's probably really good for kids. You can get them on their push bikes as well. Flat, long, straight, lovely. And we saw 6 eagles. It was really cool. We were walking up to a bridge and there was an eagle sat right on the bridge. And we were like, oh, that's amazing. And then it flew off and then it flew to like an area where there was another 5 of them. So it's like 6 eagles altogether. It was really cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was
nice.
nice.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful day yesterday. It was so sunny and crisp. Cold.
It was cold.
Cold.
Yeah.
But beautiful.
Oh, it was gorgeous. And it's funny how, like, you know, if you get outside enough, then you get used to it being cold and then you're not as affected by it.
Yeah, you just put more clothes on.
You just put more, yeah.
Or walk faster.
Yeah, keep yourself warm.
Yeah.
We have a friend who says there's no bad weather, just bad clothing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. That was exactly what came into my mind, actually, that saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't heard that saying until he said it. And he's huge into like hiking and being outside. So my brother is too. Anyway, before we wrap things up, I did want to go over that list of what we had addressed in a previous podcast about just like taking care of yourself. And do you mind just going through?
No, I'm happy to go through. And we could always talk another day about like in more detail, but
yeah, okay.
Like, these are just sort of 17 practices for kind of self-love, if you like. It's just self-care and just things that you can do that really can help your mental health.
Yeah.
The number 1 is sleep. And I think that's something that people are really beginning to kind of like focus on again now, is that actually like just like make sure that you get enough sleep.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting thing the other day that said, you know, like a week of losing an hour's sleep, or say a week of losing 2 hours sleep a night, that's the equivalent of 2 nights of no sleep at all. You think, when you think about it like that, you wouldn't want to have 2 nights with no sleep and then have to like do your, you know, your job or life.
Right.
Yeah. So even just losing an hour or 2 hours every night, that can have that much of a detrimental effect on you. So sleep is really important. So, you know, getting into a good kind of bedtime routine, like don't have your iPad or in the bedroom, don't have television in the bedroom, don't watch TV too late, you know, have like kind of lower lighting, don't drink caffeine, all those sorts of things. There's loads of things we could talk about. Anyway, I said that I wasn't going to talk about each one in depth, so I'll try not to do that for everything else.
So no, it's okay. It's so interesting, and I would actually like to have a podcast where we focus more on this. So this will be like a teaser for all of you.
Ooh. Okay, shall I just read through my list?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so sleep, nutrition, exercise.
Yeah, amen.
Learning.
Oh.
Yeah, stretch that mind.
Stretch the mind.
Meditation. Visualization.
Ooh, okay, yeah, questions. But we'll get into it later.
Okay. Affirmations. Journaling. Coaching. Even coaches have coaches.
I like that.
Yeah. Connecting with people. So people who nourish your soul, people that you like being around. Community, find your tribe. Contribution, so giving something back to society. creativity, that in whatever way it is for you, whether it's painting or drawing or knitting or cooking or whatever it is. Creativity is good. Gratitude, that's a really big one. Set your boundaries up as well. Say no to people that don't have toxic people around.
That's
protect
a hard
yourself.
one, but yeah.
Being out in nature, which we've kind of covered quite a lot. And then spirituality, sort of your values and like how you treat others and yourself, and your kind of code of ethics, almost really, just the way that you want to live your life is to just be good.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot to talk about in that, isn't there?
There is a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
I feel like
so
we could have a whole episode of
probably
that.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that next time.
Okay, cool.
Let's do that next time, and then we'll have another one after you come back from Everest. We have 2 more episodes together, at least. I really love talking with you.
I love talking to you too.
And you definitely are one of those people that when I'm around you, it is something that like nourishes me.
Oh,
so
thanks,
like
man.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you for taking the time again to come out here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And be here. And thank you for putting up with me when I made us an hour late. It was one of those mornings. And I really appreciate you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And everyone listening, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. We really do appreciate it. And just know that wherever you are, we're sitting here loving you. So goodbye.
Bye.